Hello, everybody, and welcome to A Better Way of Life. I saw on the screen this morning on StreamYard, the platform that we use, that they've now included a teleprompter, which is marvelous. But we don't use things like that because we just make it up as we go along. Because we're intelligent human beings who are able to do that. Oh no, it says that it's having trouble streaming to LinkedIn. This is issue on LinkedIn's end. We'll keep trying to let you know if it's resolved. Well, hopefully you're getting to see it. If you're not, we'll repurpose it and put it back out later. But we'll keep going for all of you who are watching it live on the other various platforms that are there. Hate it when that happens, don't you? How have you been anyway?
Okay. I'm going to speak out honestly about stuff that I've been saying people need to be honest about, about how hard it is out there, and being honest about that. Not because I'm rubbish. It's just hard out there, and I've been to see a friend last night, and this person's doing okay. I don't have a problem with that, and I think sometimes it depends on what you do. It depends on how you do it. And what I'm seeing out there a lot of the time is that if you want to do things in a particular way and you want to make sure that it's done right, often that doesn't get you the work. And it's a longer road. So you can change the way you do things and you can take a different route. But what I am seeing is that a lot of the time it comes down to the marketing. And so it's not always the best people that are necessarily out there or the bigger companies that you see that do things. It's just that they... So if I, of course, I'm going to bring it around to training. If you look at a lot of the training companies that are out there, that are the ones that come to the top on your search that you do.
Yep.
Most of those will have there'll be sponsored ads. And it takes you quite a long time to actually get to somebody that's not, that will be somebody like little old me that's there. And unfortunately, we live in a world where people want things quickly and they don't spend the time looking. And the ones that have got the money tend to get the work, unfortunately. So I'm not giving up hope. And, you know, what I do, which is I do design people's training for them as well. I'll still keep battling on with it to get the word out there. But just think, and I know that you feel like this too, the smaller people that are trying to do it and make an honest living, it's very hard to be seen out there now.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like the advice from a lot of people, or a lot of business coaches, is that the only way to succeed in that is to go high ticket.
Yes, good old high ticket.
Good old high ticket, which I guess works if you're in a sector or an industry where, I'm going to say this, where fluff can get you through the door. Yeah,
can get you through. Yeah.
But if you, and I think this is where you struggled in conversations that you've had with people, where you're selling something into a sector that potentially doesn't have an awful lot of money anyway, and also where other people are touting what they say is the same thing as you, but a cheaper version, then it becomes really, really difficult, right? So the whole high ticket thing that you see with coaches, effectively, let's unpack that. What they basically do is they send you on the journey of, these coaches send you on the journey of, you need to build up your personality. You need to build up your influence in an area, right? So that you become a name, right? Look, it's the same with musicians, right? If you're an unknown musician, you might be writing better songs than Ed Sheeran, right?
We had this conversation the other day, didn't we?
You might be writing the best songs in the world, right? But
nobody sees them.
But nobody sees them because you haven't got the visibility, right? So what the marketers would say, or what the coaches would say, is, look, what you need to do is you need to get seen. So you need to build up this aura around you, right? So that you'll become more and more and more and more known. And then feeding into that, a lot of the marketers will say, especially on platforms like Instagram or TikTok or whatever, don't worry about you at this point in time. Just do whatever the platform wants you to do, what all the people on the platform want you to do in order to get seen. Then when you've got seen, right?
Niche.
Then go, look, it's me, and charge high ticket for it. But the trouble is that what it's doing is it's developing a world that puts, and I honestly, I go back to the Noel Gallagher quote. I know it's a really weird place for it to come from, but I do go back to the Noel Gallagher quote, where we live in a really weird world now where people will spend more on 2 cups of coffee than they will on an album which has taken years to make.
Yeah.
Right. And this is the trouble. People will almost give over money to something that's, that people have just created this aura around, rather than anything that's actually got history and substance and worth and value to it.
Yeah.
It's dangerous.
Yes,
it's really dangerous.
Yesterday I saw it was someone, I was just looking her up, actually, Bryony Jackson, and I stumbled across her post, and she said on her post, I'll read it yesterday because it just resonated with me. That sounds such an AI word. It is a word that I would use, by the way. Where is
it's all right. You'll thrive when you do this.
And then I can leverage it.
You're just fostering the best part of yourself.
How long can we? Oh God, I can't think of a word now. I don't use AI enough. But if I do, I tell AI, please don't use AI type words. That's literally what I type in. Please don't make it sound AI like.
Well,
yeah. Please tell me you do that.
No, I don't. No, I don't. I've trained my AI to actually.
I haven't seen Foster very much, actually.
I will go in do a little bit of a thing in a minute about how to train AI effectively for different people. But yeah, go on.
So her post said, can we please talk about how everything in capitals suddenly cost over $1,000 online? I'm feeling fairly irked at the moment with the online world. And here is another thing I need to get off my chest. I love people that do this, and they do it in a fairly eloquent way as well. Before I joined the online world, nothing cost over $1,000, and now everything costs over $1,000. Every bit of coaching in the online world has a massive price tag. Before you go rushing out to check my prices, yes, even mine, because someone told me that's what I should be charging. But now I'm thinking, really, do I want to be this person? Accept my new group program, which is $550, because I didn't want to do another over the grand thing. Money coaches don't come at me. I'm not a toilet. I'm not blocked. I love money. I love receiving it. I love having it, but I know my worth. You see all these posts saying that if you doubled your prices, but surely there comes a point when you just say, "Now that's just too much," don't you? I've seen a coach charging $30,000 for 6 hours one-to-one. I saw an offer for just 4 weeks of LinkedIn writing coaching for over 2K. Graham, we're missing a trick here. I wouldn't do it anyway. Who on earth is paying that? Am I wrong? What's your thoughts? She then messaged me because I said, you're right. I said, it makes me feel rather irked. I'm going to use that word because I can't really swear on here. That I charge $600 for a qualification that I offer that is a level 3, so A-level equivalent. There's costs in there. So a third of that isn't even my money. It's stuff that I have to pay out. Mm-hmm. And people balk at that. People that have been referred to me don't, because they know that they get very good value with me and they get a lot more than just what the qualification is. Because people will then just go onto online and say, yeah, but I can get what you do online. No, that's not what I do. the qualification is what I sell, but you don't get the same. And I just sit there the same as her going, and she said it was really funny because she messaged me and she said, literally, as I went to message you, she said, I had something come through offering me a masterclass for 3 months for 6,000. Like, wow. What the heck? Number one, is anyone paying this? Number two, who is paying it and how? Because my other point was, I was at an event the other day, and it's happened before, where I don't know what they want to call themselves, speakers, coaches, I guess it's mentors, it depends what hat they've got on, advising me how to do things. And number one, they don't get to know me, like the way my business runs, or me, should I say. And I've forgotten what the other one was. That what they'll do is you need to do this. So they tell people how to do a high ticket event.
Yeah.
I sit there and I go, where am I getting these customers from? And then it just all like raw, like this with it. And I'm like, no, anybody can put a price tag on something, but where am I actually getting these customers from? And that there seems to be a gap. I mean, I had to sit down with the person, somebody I'm coaching. She was on last week, Prem, and it's interesting because I've learned from you how to do LinkedIn. I didn't have a clue before. I hated it, really hated it, and it's been really interesting now working with somebody to very honestly do what's worked for me. And one of my main things is, and I would just throw a word of caution to people, and this is where you do it really well, you get to know the person that you're working with, that it's not cookie cutter. To a certain extent, there's ways of doing it. There's some of the rules, but even the rules some rules need to be thrown out the window. That I've had to consider her. I've had to speak to her. I said to her, you're going to have different posts that will need to go out, like business posts about what you sell. I said, and do not get downhearted. They will not get much. They won't get viewed much initially. Then you do your education type posts. So you're educating people. So you're sharing your love of whatever it is you do. So for her, it's, social care, social, I can't know what the word is. And I said, and there is the other bit, which is you. You're going to need to show the world who you are. And I said, but you can choose who that is. You can show how much of you share. That's entirely up to you. But you're going to have to do a level of that, because initially what you do is somewhat not relevant, but you need to bring people to your party because they will buy into you. And but equally, I've had to, I've said, you haven't got to do all this in one go. Bearing in mind, this is somebody that's got ADHD, that gets overwhelmed, and I've got to be realistic with her. There's no point in me sitting there saying, right, we got to come up with a list and this. I've sent things out to her and we realistically come up with things she's going to do. And it concerns me. I see a lot of these people that tell people how to do it. And I'm like, you've said it before, Alan, the accountant, I don't know why Alan might be an accountant. He could be whatever, taxidermist, it could be whatever. Somebody's got to realistically and authentically, although that word's awful to use, genuinely be able to be that. I can't try and be you and you can't try and be me, because it's not going to work, is it? The same as when I'm teaching people how to teach. I'll say to them, I'm going to give you the toolbox, but go away and be you. Go away and be you. Do it the way that you want to. And I know that it understandably frustrates you, because it's what you do. You teach people to use LinkedIn, but I'm living proof that very honestly, in 6 months, I've grown my network from 2,000-ish to nearly 9,000. And it does matter. It does matter.
It does matter. No, it does matter.
Particularly with what I do, it matters, because I'm not in a specialist sector.
But even in that, I think there's a lot of lies out there. I mean, I've just done a poll post this morning about because I've been doing some research into just how the different platforms behave in terms of when you take a break from them.
Oh, yes.
And actually, it's quite interesting. I'd love to do a study actually to do with neurodivergence and different platforms, because I know a lot of people who are neurodivergent love LinkedIn, but in some ways I can see why LinkedIn might be the worst platform in the world for a lot of people with neurodivergence to be on.
When they need to check out, or they're not checking. This isn't checking in.
Well, because
is that what your post was about this morning?
It's what it's about. So here's the blunt truth of it. The blunt truth of it is that if you look at LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook, what else did I look at? X, TikTok, right? I couldn't on my poll. I couldn't put TikTok in because it only gives you.
It's annoying. It only gives you 5.
So annoying that.
Very annoying.
But if you look at all of those platforms, the one platform that will punish you most for taking any time away from it is LinkedIn. Right? The next worst are Facebook and Instagram. The one that won't punish you at all, in fact, may reward you, is X, or what was Twitter, right? If you actually take a week away from X, come back, it literally, you may find that actually some of the old stuff that you've put on there will actually get reposted by people or seen by people, and it might actually get you more followers, right? LinkedIn, and you may have seen this yourself, you'll have a great week on LinkedIn and you'll see your impressions and everything go up, and your kind of engagement and whatever go up, and you may create that kind of line of, oh, look, I'm doing really well this week, it's improving. You then stop and not do anything, it'll go
falls off a cliff.
Right now, I understand why. That's what I was saying this morning. I understand why.
Not very inclusive though, is it?
The reason why it does it is because it's trying to base its whole premise on thought leadership and value. So what it's saying is that I don't want people to just come here, hang a singular piece of content which is they've spent ages on and whatever, which is brilliant, and then disappear off and not actually give back to the platform. They want people to be proactive in engaging on the platform, but let's think about that. That feeds very highly into a dopamine hit, right? Because there's an addiction there, which is that if you keep,
I've got to keep going.
If you keep feeding it, you're going to see things improve, right? There's also a little bit feeds into kind of an OCD, doesn't it? Right? And I'd use that term carefully, but it does, which is that, you know, if you don't feed it, then it's gonna drop off. Oh, lovely. Thanks for that, Melanie. So yeah, Melanie's just saying, going back to the earlier conversation, too many people buying the Emperor's new clothes and not enough people calling it out. Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, that's it. It is true.
Melanie actually is in our A Better Way of Life group, and actually Melanie quite rightly was asking me earlier this week, because we've just created a £50 tier as well, but she said that's quite a move up from a £10 tier, and I came back and I explained to her, yes, it is, but given the value that we're going to put into the £50 tier, it's entirely worth it. And actually, I have to say that when you think about it, what can you buy for 50 quid these days? I mean, literally, if you go out for a meal for the evening, you'll easily spend 50 quid on something that lasts.
I think the problem we've got now is, and you and I have talked about this, and it's we work well together in that we've both got the same values in terms of we're not greedy, but we've got families to feed, we love what we do and we like helping people, but of course that's always open to potential abuse in terms of people getting their pound of flesh from us. And you and I have both fallen foul to it a lot. But you're living proof that you helped me some years ago at the point when, and I really do have a bee in my bonnet, and I did do a post about this the other day. I think it was yesterday, and I couldn't fully get my point across because I was trying to say a few things that when, like, I want to help people, you want to help people, but where do we stop with that? Do you know what I mean? Because the other thing is that there seems to be a lot of people making money from people because it's about being seen in a group. And it's particularly frustrating when you're literally selling something or offering something. I'd say offer, because I don't think, yes, we are selling, but for you and I would say it's more of an offer thing because we want people to get ahead. And the bit that really gets on my nerves is, again, I'm going to say business coaches because it's where I've seen it the most, or people that are thriving. And in the words of Jason, I've forgotten his name now. I'm looking at people's names because I'm awful at names at the moment. Jason Van, and I've forgotten his name. I couldn't even say his name. Beusekom. That these people that are crushing it, whatever else. How about the crushing it people maybe lend a hand to help out the people that aren't? It's all very easy. Exactly. It's very easy, isn't it, to sit here when everything's going great. But often people will say, you just got to keep going. And I'm not going to lie that recently I'm not like devastatingly upset, but I'm having to keep having a word with myself to say, okay, you're changing direction slightly. You're still offering that. And I've not brought in a huge amount of income for a few months. That makes me feel guilty because I'm not bringing money in at home, and I have to keep reining myself in when I panic to say this is part of the process. You're not failing. It's just, this is the way that you're doing it. And I've had to have a conversation with my family to say, are you okay with me still doing this? Because I could get a job, but, obviously that means, different things. But what annoys me is that these people will often say, you need to invest in your business, right?
You're investing everything in your business.
Yeah, I'm investing everything. And some people literally don't have the money and they say, well, you're not serious enough about it. Right, should we stop there? This isn't about not being serious about it. This is the reality. And I'm not being sexist here, and men don't jump down my throat here. Women are generally more at risk here, because you will see a lot of women want to start their businesses because it does work around their family. There'll be various reasons why they may want to, but they don't have the money behind them. So somebody I knew who was a business coach said, oh, you could apply for this funding to help you. And I said, oh, I'll have a look into it. And I think it said, this is quite some time ago, 1 in 10 entrepreneurs, was it 1 in 10? I've kind of which way around it was now, were women. I can't remember which way around it was, but they offered some funding. But it was funding you'd pay back. And I said, pointless, like literally absolutely pointless. If you're offering money to a woman to help their business, the same as why many women won't have paid into a pension. When your work is fractional or you've done bits and pieces and you're not earning much anyway, if you're then going to, at that time when you need it, yes, okay, you're putting it into your future. But the reality is, if a woman's not earning full-time money anyway, you kind of need that money. If you're then asking a woman to pay back a loan, you know what I mean? It's a token gesture to be there. If you really want women to succeed, then make it so there are actual grants available, to give them a chance. So this isn't about not trying, and it's not about it not working. The challenges I have. You have them as well, because you're working, you work at home and you're the stay-at-home, work-at-home dad, it's not easy, and it isn't because we don't care. It's that we're trying to balance that running a business, but also being a parent and being present as well. And that journey may take a lot longer, but it certainly isn't because we don't care. And so I urge anybody to not say to somebody, if you cared about your business or if you were serious about it, you would invest money into it. As you said, I am investing money into it because I'm not actually bringing in that much money at the moment, but I'm actually all very serious about it because I want to do it right.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I do think that going back to that thing that like people buy into the smoke and mirrors and the fluff and whatever else, you know, you have to
with glitter on it and a ribbon.
Yeah. I'm not saying that like some other people that are out there that, you know, are doing it the other way via, you know, building up their personality and then creating something, and then, you know, that they're not offering any value at all. I'm sure that they are offering some value, but you have to ask, what is the majority of that value? I think that the majority, and where does that value come from? And a lot of the time it comes from FOMO. Right?
Yeah. Yes, that's it.
The value comes from the you know, the sort of credibility, if you like, or the sort of club-based mentality, which is very, very kind of like primordial in all of us, that we want to be in the alpha pack. And then you know, the buy-in is this FOMO that I'm not in the alpha pack, if I'm not in that alpha pack, then I'm missing out, you know. And
do you think it makes people vulnerable though?
Yeah,
I think it can prey on people's vulnerability, and there are certain people that are going to be more vulnerable. And if you've got somebody that's running that, so for us, we've got a community that I would say that the reason we're doing it is because we are wanting to give back. We both know what it's like to struggle when you haven't got the money to do the thing. It doesn't matter how wonderful somebody might be. You know, I was speaking to a friend last night and I said, you know, it's not that when someone's not serious about their business, but when I first started speaking to you, I said, I didn't really even know about copywriting and stuff. And here's me doing it now sometimes. That I was like, but if I'm freelancing for £200 a day, because the only work I could get was freelancing, because so many businesses have hoovered up the work. Hi, Olivia. Is they've hoovered up the work. It leaves people like me then having to take that work because I can't make myself known out there because I don't have the marketing budget. So I take that work at £200 a day, which quite frankly is an insult to many people. I then can't pay someone like you or somebody that's saying, I could sort your website out for 1,000 or 1,500. And I'm not saying that they're not worth it, maybe, but I don't have the money. When somebody literally doesn't have the money, so I didn't have the money to pay for you to do my social media. So you said to me, well, I can help you so that when you are in a position to be able to pay me because you've got work coming in from being seen, you can then pay me to do it. What a great idea. And I suppose that's what we're saying about with the community, which is it's going to be maybe for a certain sort of person, and those are the people that we want in there that are trying their hardest, that just need a little bit of support. So the lady that I'm supporting at the moment, we've discussed how long she'll have support from me. She said I might not be able to afford to have it for too long. And I said, well, actually, you may not need it. I don't want you to keep paying for me forever and a day. But she would be somebody that would be suitable to be in the community where she can just check in on, can you just look through this post for me? I've had a go with it. And so, yes, there does need to be people do need to pay for that because, hey ho, you and I aren't millionaires yet.
We were sat there the other day and we said, look, you know, we're not trying to make millions out of this. We're not trying to become the next big thing and whatever. But what we did say was that, you know, yes, if people trust us with, and this is what it's about, ultimately business should come down to trust these days. If people trust us with their money, if people put their faith in us money wise, come into that community, pay us a reasonable amount of money, and we feel that that's reasonable. Actually, in the grand scheme of things, it's not very much money, right? But if they pay us a reasonable amount of money to be in there, and they give us their commitment to be in there, we will give them our absolute all, right? So we will be in there to help you with your business, to help you grow, to get you seen. But we are invested in you, right? So to me, the difference is your 50 quid, if you come into our community, is not you investing in us, it's you investing in you 100%, right? Because we will make sure, if you give us your money, I feel like Bob Geldof right now, give us your money. If you give us your money, we will make sure that we give you the value that you need, right? And ultimately what we're trying to do is we're trying to make ourselves affordable to you, because as Marianne said, we understand that for a lot of people, they wouldn't be able to pay the sort of fees that we have to charge on a commercial basis for, done for social media, or done for marketing, or done for business development, or done for, mentoring advice or whatever, that we have to charge other people to on a day-to-day basis to help develop their business. Not everybody has that sort of disposable income. So, but if you need an ounce of that and you can't afford it, what do? Either not have it at all, or have kind of a shared resource of that where at least you can tap into and get some of our time. The answer is you want that second option in there, and that's what it's all about.
And I think the time thing is, I've, again, you and I have had discussions about this, that our time is worth a lot, and that, if I had £1 as well for every time I've given people help, I don't mind doing it, but I'm at the point that I'm not, I don't have that. Often what's happened is I've helped people and then they've run away and they're making lots of money, which is absolutely fantastic. But, when you're still sat there, and so I think it has to be that there is some sort of, like you say, and a commitment, back, because I think that's the other side of it. I mean, I will commit with people, and anybody can look. I will happily do posts that showcase what someone's done. And we're not talking about, and we know that this kind of shadiness goes on, that, we're all going to commit to commenting on someone's stuff.
Pods.
Yes. To me, though, this is about actually creating posts that bring in what somebody else does. And if we think about it, in some kind of way, most of us, probably most people that I interact with, and I get some people routinely coming back to, if you think at the beginning, that's what I do in my training. At the beginning, I segued. Is that an AI word? Quite like that word, though. Segued somebody in. Bryony, I segued her into it. I had a conversation with her. We had a meaningful conversation with each other. That to me was somebody saying, I'm fed up with this. I want to do it right. So to me, if people are being in a community, let's all lift each other up, not in a fake way, because if somebody tells me I've got to like something, I'm like, nah, not if you're just going to tell me to.
Can I just say, fake isn't. That is my biggest turn off, is when somebody sends me a post and says, can you like and share this, please? Right. It's my biggest turn off. So sorry, if you're out there and you see that I've got nearly 30,000 followers on LinkedIn, and you just send me a post that you've written and you go, can you like and share this, please? The answer is no, right? Especially if you've taken absolutely no time to get to know me. If you written it and it has nothing to do with my beliefs, my ethos, my, the things that I'm passionate about or whatever, I am not going to like it and share it.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, someone sent me one the other day and it was about, I don't know, it was something about a war somewhere in the world or whatever. And it was like, I don't even know what I think about or feel about this.
And why should you put time and energy into probably somebody that's not interacted with you to, like, why? Really? And I think what people, I think, so again, that I've said to you, that there's various people I come back to and I see their posts. Again, yesterday, James shared about, in a nutshell, it was saying, can't we all try and lift each other up? And I said, absolutely. I said, wherever I can, I will tag somebody into a post meaningfully, not just a tag on the end of it. It will be that I'll bring them into it. And then actually somebody who I spoke to quite a long time ago said, she does that. I know that she does because she's done it with me. And I will do it with people if what they talk about resonates with me. And then after a while, we genuinely are building a community of people that you want to turn up to what they say, or they want to turn up to what you say, not all the time and not dutifully. But I think it would be absolutely brilliant to have a community where you think, what does this person do? I sent somebody a message yesterday and to do with what I do, and I was saying, if I can help you with the course writing, and they said, yeah, actually, that may be something. I've got quite a big network. So I said, if you don't need it, if there's anybody that you know of because of what you do, because they're in the L&D world, could you possibly mention me? And he said, absolutely. And I said, oh, could you tell me about what you do? I said, because it's really wonderful for me. I need to hear from people, not just see your profile. What do you do? Because if ever I see an opportunity for somebody, I love to be able to tag somebody and go, actually, I know somebody. Vanessa, I know that Vanessa is the go-to person for the menopause, and Vanessa did something really kind to me quite a long time ago. She said, she'd come onto the podcast and we'd shared things. And she said, as a thank you, can I give you a consultation? I didn't ask. She just offered me. And ever since then, I will share wherever I can what she does. Why? Because I experienced it. I've experienced what she does. And it's been a genuine thing. And she's, thanked me. And why can't we just work like this? How wonderful if this is what people do genuinely. And so the people that are good, the people that are struggling because they don't have the money behind them. And also, I've seen a lot about humble bragging, not just mine. So I've seen people that are very good, that are very humble, that need to be able to say what they do. And I've said, that's exactly it, though, isn't it? The people who genuinely are humble don't brag, but they need to say. Those people are usually the people that are doing the thing the best. Let's make these people heard. Let's make that win over all of the fluff and noise and sparkling marketing stuff.
No,
make
totally.
that win.
And I think it's funny. I spent a bit of time.
Like I'm going for Prime Minister then or something.
Yeah, I love.
My children said at the table the other day, I was talking about something, and they went, "Whoa, you should be Prime Minister." I said, "No, because I tell the truth." But that's another thing.
I love it when we get on a bit of a rant. Yeah, I spent a bit of time yesterday actually starting to put things about the community and other stuff into Facebook, and it's quite interesting, really. I don't spend a huge amount of time there. I think I perhaps ought to spend a little bit more.
No, I know I need to as well.
But I do. I will say this. I feel like LinkedIn, considering that it is this kind of professional platform, there seems to be a kind of people get upset that their professional posts, etc., don't do as well on LinkedIn, and that the professional stuff doesn't necessarily get the traction, it doesn't get seen, and we can go around in circles blaming the algorithm. But ultimately, do you know what? That's the people. It's people out there that aren't doing it. And actually, interestingly enough, I do find with Facebook groups, because those groups are granulated to like being about
to that, whatever that thing is,
that subject, that actually if you post in those groups about that subject,
you get a lot more interaction in there.
Yeah, people are actually much more interested in that subject because it's already granulated into that, you know.
I think what I was saying to Prem was that if you don't want to, or you can't, I'm going to use those two words. If you don't want to, or you can't afford to make yourself seen using paid for ads, let's just say, you're going to have to do it the other way, which is it's going to take longer. But what I will say is that when I look back, and you know, because you've seen it, I don't cry quite so much anymore, actually. Get so down. That it was like, what's the point in this? You know, some 6, 7, 8 months ago, I was like, what's the point? What is the actual point of this when nobody sees anything? And these other people are doing it this way. And it's like, well, you've got a choice. You could be like that if you want to be, but you don't want to be. So just shut up or get on with it, which is putting that effort in. And I've said, you're going to have to put the effort in. So when I see people say, I've got a friend of mine that says, I don't really go on LinkedIn. I said, but you don't need to, because you appear to have got the work in the way you've got it. And if that works for you, that's absolutely wonderful. But when I was at this event last week, I was saying about my struggle is getting to people. You know, and then some people will say niche, and I said, but I don't really want to. And I kind of hid under, what's that, whatever, under bushel or whatever that phrase
under
is.
A rock.
Well, no, it wasn't that, though. I'd actually played down how much I'd organically grown my connections. I played it down because I'm so used to hearing people say, shouldn't have done that like that. Connections aren't everything, blah, 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 blah. And I walked away from that situation going, do you know what, Marianne, you need to just realize that this is working for you. And unless that person has invested time in knowing how you do your business, i.e. you, what they say may tick all the boxes for what they're doing, but they haven't looked to see that actually it works for you. And actually, in the end, the professionals said to me, you played down what you did. And I said, it's because I'm so used to being told by people, do it this way. You ought to do that.
People like them.
People like them, exactly. So I did walk away from it. It was quite a moment for me, the 2 days, because, you know, I also sat where there was various coaches that were had like 15 minutes with a group, and I wouldn't necessarily have done it that way. And there were some people newer to business. They were younger, whether that makes a difference or not. Saying, you could see they were in awe of these people. Of course, I was saying to Michael that I work with on the Insight ADHD program, I just can't do that. If I don't buy into somebody, I can't. And I'm watching, if I absolutely buy into somebody, I'm going to, and I will celebrate them amazingly. I do struggle with the fact I think my eyes probably do roll back. I think my eyebrows probably do the talking for me. So I'm watching these very, influential people talking to these people that are being influenced, saying, it's so amazing the way you do this. I listen to the way you do it. And you know, they said, I love your no nonsense approach to things, when you just give it to people as it is and you don't take any rubbish. I think there's a time and a place for not taking rubbish, but you just give it to people like that. And they were like, well, you know, yeah. And this younger woman next to me said, thing is, it's the only way to be, isn't it? I very casually went, no, it's not actually. because it's not. Literally, that isn't the only way to be. And maybe it is the teacher in me. I'm going to assess how someone's going to take that. You know, telling somebody as it is could crush them completely. And so, yeah, you do have to hit somebody very softly around the face sometimes if they're not ready for that. You know that working with me, there'll be days that you can say, come on. And there's other days, you know, that saying come on to me in that way will make me cry. And that's not because I'm weak or anything. It's because I'm doing life. And to coin the phrase that you use, and I did a post on it, people are messy, but I'm real. That, like, literally, that's it. So what I did was I walked away from the event. The old me, the me that didn't know the way their brain worked, would have been upset, probably would have snapped. I walked away going, I like the way I do it, and it works for how I do it.
Well, it's interesting because you've been twice now, and I think there's been
three times.
Three times, yeah. But I feel there's been a marked difference in the way that you've kind of reacted to it each time.
Yeah. I'm like, yes.
And that's you, not the event.
Absolutely. No, it was me. And I now stepped back, and I actually did sit back, and I thought, there's no point in me saying anything about this, because that is what the event is. And it's not for me to change that. But what it did teach me, and anybody that I do coach, I hate using that word, but anybody that I work with, I will always urge them, particularly neurodivergent people, to say, go where feels comfortable for you. Because the biggest thing I found all the way through my life was that I'd fall out with people or not feel very happy or be very negative, because I wasn't in the right place. I wasn't around the right people. And so now I remove myself from situations that don't bring out the best version of me. And so the other day when I found myself in a situation that wasn't what I realized it was going to be, all of a sudden I'm in this situation with lots of people having to suddenly explain my business in 5 minutes, knowing that that's not going to work, but also knowing that if I respond to suggestions they give me, they're likely to say, but you're giving our but answers. And so what I got was, you seem to be really overwhelmed. I said, no, this situation is overwhelming, and it's one that I wouldn't normally choose to be in. There's a very marked difference there, because actually, I don't want to be in that situation. And if that works for you people, that's great. But actually, being honest with how I was, and there was somebody else that's similar, that's in education, they reacted the same way. And it was because I think we're from a world where you have to do things right.
Yes.
You can't do smoke and mirrors. And so for us, the whole of it didn't feel very, we were having advice given to us from people that didn't understand the world we were from.
No. Just picking up on one thing you were saying there, and I was thinking while you were talking. So, yes, within the world of education, you have to do things right, but you also wrote a post, I think it was this week, or it might have been the week before, about allowing yourself to make mistakes. And I think that's an important thing as well. I think one of the most valuable things that I've learned in my now 54 years is allowing yourself to feel comfortable in spaces even when they're uncomfortable, because I think that is it's actually a very difficult thing to do, but learning how to do that is really, really valuable. And for me, like when I first started doing radio, for example, I completely sucked. And the reason I sucked was because I was so, it's the same. I had the same thing when I started to drive, and I hate it because I saw another post this week on LinkedIn where someone went, and I passed first time and I hardly had any faults or whatever. It took me 3 times to pass my driving test. Right. And I was such a nervous driver. interestingly, as soon as I passed my test and then I started doing driving, and then since then in my career I've driven like over 80,000 miles a year and stuff like that, I'd now say that I'm a pretty damn good driver.
Yeah.
Right. And that's because once I got over that hurdle of the test and the pressure that I'd put on myself, that now I could feel like I could start to learn to drive. It's where I feel like a lot of people go wrong, is that they feel like once they've passed the initial test, they've done it. They haven't. They've just started their journey. That's where, but they don't see that. And then that's where they then make silly mistakes. And for me, when I first started doing radio, as I first started doing this, as I wrote the other day, I was really nervous in school. I didn't really speak up very much or anything like that. But when I first started doing radio, I was really self-conscious, and I was incredibly conscious about making mistakes and all of that as well. And
Bye, Olivia. Sorry, she's just going.
Bye, Olivia. And really conscious of time as well, and having to do things on time and all of that. And it, fortunately, I got to work in a space which was a little bit more relaxed, which was the Festival Radio Association, where I don't know how I managed to get into that space, but I managed to get into that space. And I started working with people that helped me to feel very, very relaxed about that. And I ended up helping other people to feel relaxed in that situation. That's part of what we did. Absolutely, Virginia. Yeah, we do. Sometimes we put so much pressure on ourselves.
And I think that's it, but that's it. But what I will say is that, as you were saying there, and knowing the person you are and the way our brains work, and it's why it works between us, is that you've never told me what to do. I don't ever tell people what to do when I'm working with them, but I get to know them. And I think Olivia's just said there, she's had some great advice from some coaches, but also some quite damaging, because if someone tells you what to do and they don't know you and they don't understand you, what I see is a lot of people out there telling you to do it this way. But you can't make someone do it. Or actually what they will do is they'll comply, but it won't work. And I've seen many other coaches say, I'm only willing to, I've got to be in my bonnet about this one. I'm only willing to work with people that are ready. Right. Okay. So you literally want it when the party's all organised and all the hard work's being done, you're ready. Because to be quite honest, the hardest stuff is all the prep work behind that goes on there. So that, like you said, when I went to the event the other day, that was kind of like that moment that I sort of did a bit of a nod to myself and went, because I've done all the work. I've done an awful lot of work behind the scenes to show up to be that person. You know, you've done that work with me. And so when I do see these coaches having that approach, that's the easiest thing on earth, to follow a framework and to do it my way. You do it my way or you're out. I only want people that are really serious about this.
Well, this comes back down to the high. This comes back down to the high ticket thing again, right? We had someone on here the other day who, you know, has done very, very well, made an awful lot of money, etc. Really tells people what to do. But hey, as he said, you know, he will only work with certain people, and most high ticket coaches and whatever that I see will all say, but I won't work with, or I'll go so far with someone and then I'll tell them I can't actually work with them. And the reason they do that is because they don't fit into the template. If someone's not prepared to sell their soul into that's the way that it's got to be done, then it's not going to work.
They are right. They are right. He was right. If you do it this way, you're going to make X amount of money.
They're not lying.
But as soon as someone says, I don't, you know, the worst thing, I'm not saying this, it is said the worst thing someone can do is be passionate about their business. Like what? Like literally what? Like what? Because that's where the whole of the world has gone wrong now, is that having passion about something is seen as often seen as a downfall. And so when you said about the driving bit, I mean, you were nervous. I used to get people to pretend to be cars in the sixth form common room because I was so anxious about doing reverse parking. The funny thing is now, I literally will fall over myself to do a reverse park because I love it. And that's what I was going to say, our brains are that we have to get it right. Like I have to get it right. And so it may take us longer to do something. And that's why when we've actually proven, and this is why, you know, I put a post out yesterday asking about if you had to get a qualification to do the thing that you do, would you, or would you get out? People have sort of missed my point there, was that if you had to and you say that you would get out, why? Because if you can do the thing, surely you'd be able to do the thing. So for us, I think it is, once we get that ticket or that piece of paper or whatever that says we can do it, we can relax then in, because we know that there's that proof. And yet there's other people that will just fake it till they make it, kind of thing.
Yeah. Well, I feel that's one of the main reasons why people should use you for AET level 3, for example, right? One of the main reasons you should use Marianne for AET level 3, and if you don't know what that is, it's basically it's qualification in training.
Education, right? And training, yeah.
Education and training, as opposed to an e-learning course or anything else or whatever, is that you'll take the pressure off. And the reason you'll take the pressure off is that you won't judge that person in terms of, are they doing it right or whatever, but you will help them wherever they are to feel comfortable that they are doing it right. Yeah. And that's massive, right? And now ultimately, that's coming back to the radio story. That's what helped me when I was in a situation where I could relax a little bit with it. And then I realized, oh, actually, it didn't matter if things went wrong, or actually I'm quite quick at
dealing with when it goes wrong.
Dealing with it when it goes wrong. And in fact, maybe even turning that into something that's worth, that's content. Then it was suddenly like, oh, I'm actually really on top. Not only like able to do this, but I'm actually really on top of this, and I've actually got some skills in this area. And then when I started, a bit like you were teaching, when I started then being able to tell other people how to do this, and they went, wow, that really helps, right? Because I came from a place of like,
you've got to do it, because you've got to do it this way, and you've got to do it that way, and that's that whole approach of perfection is the only way.
Exactly. And my approach wasn't that. My approach was be you.
Yes.
Let's have you come out into this, and it's all right, and it doesn't matter. And you know, if
own it, let it be part of you. If you make a mistake, I mean, Christ, my laptop slipped off the lectern when I was teaching. I hadn't even started teaching the group. My laptop slipped off the lectern, and I went, oh, I think I've got a phone call to make because my friend's coming to observe me and I'm going to need to borrow his laptop. But also I used it as a way to say, I then say, like on day 2, do you remember yesterday when this happened? So my friend Dave, he'd been teaching a lot longer than I had, in fact. And he said he learned so much from me. He said, you've got this way when you're teaching to keep referring back to what you did yesterday, but seamlessly. And I think because if you free flow into stuff and you're really comfortable with what you do and you move away from there only being a set way to do it, what I do when I teach people is I give them a framework and a toolkit to work with. And that's why I'm really passionate about what I do. Is there may be some great trainers out there, and I don't deny they're good with people, and I don't deny they know their stuff, but actually, have they done the stuff that will help them when it all goes wrong? What are they going to do? Are they going to make sure that they know what criteria to goes in there? And that's the thing, is that sometimes I'm wary of people now who look like they've got it all together, because we'll watch what happens when something goes wrong, because they probably aren't going to deal with that well,
because they haven't learned, they haven't had to learn to be in that space where they can cope when something does go wrong. right? And for a lot of us, we started in such a unconfident place and an uncomfortable place that we've had to learn to kind of step into that mental space, and that's our super skill, right?
Yeah.
And as you say, if you build that confidence on longevity and over a number of years, and from really listening to people, and from really self-reflecting and doing a lot of work on yourself, as well as really trying to understand other people, then it's solid. But if you build that on fluff, and too many people are building it too quickly, they haven't built any of the emotional resilience or emotional empathy or emotional intelligence that they need in order to actually deal with it, everything will come down like
that's what I was going to say, was that, as you said, you relaxed into the driving once you were driving. So I get some people come in with the attitude, I've got to get this qualification right now, I've got it. How long? Somebody said to me once, how long is it going to take me to do the assignments? And I said, I know what you're saying. I said, but what I will say to you is the assignments are just part of it. Your actual learning journey will come afterwards. And so I think the problem we've got nowadays is that people want to tick the box quickly without seeing that actually you're building foundations to be able to learn more afterwards.
Yeah, very quickly, because we're getting near the end of time. But isn't that the same as people? You need to start thinking about it in the world of training, right? Why do you feel that that's any different from like the world of teaching? You would not expect, when a teacher, newly qualified teacher, enters a school, they enter a phase of mentoring, right? They have to be mentored as they start work in teaching, right? Because they haven't actually ever taught. They've just learned teaching, right? Yeah. Why would you expect that in training, right? So someone's just got that AET level 3,
or not even got it, that's the best of it.
But if someone's just started training, right, they don't know how to train. They do not know training because they've never done it, right?
The actual
right. And okay, you could take it the other way as well and say, oh, but they've been doing it for many, many years, right?
They've been doing it.
But if they actually are doing it for many, many years, have never really evaluated it, they've just like done it, right? Again, right? We can all make a sausage roll, right? Greggs make the best sausage roll. Why? Because they've perfected the process. A new Greggs is just opening in Chard today. Hurrah. But that's the point, isn't it? You've never given them the opportunity to look at the process and understand the process and see whether actually what they do is effective.
Right? I don't see many people learn with me. What I would really love is to see on training teams that trainers that have actually got somebody that mentors them. And if anybody wants to, I'm available. But no, I do think it should be a service that's available where somebody can come and check in with somebody. Because on most of those teams, if you've got a manager that's not even qualified, who is anybody learning from? Who are they checking? Because I've had people I've taught come back and say, can you look at my session plan? And I'm thinking, why have these people got nobody?
Absolutely.
And the other thing I was going to say is that the sales thing I was at the other day, I'm no amazing salesperson. And I don't know a lot of the, you get people do email marketing and stuff. Actually, what I did see is that if you have got people that are starting out on their journey, sometimes it's not best to have the person that's doing that's charges huge amounts, because for me, I don't relate to that person. So I potentially am somebody that's better because I've, when someone's worked through it. If that person isn't relatable, it looks good, but actually what you're doing is completely crushing the people that are, learning. And I'd say also, if you're going to events, look and see if it's going to work for you. Don't assume that because others are doing it and because it's a huge name, it may actually have the opposite effect on you.
Indeed. Listen, if you'd want more of this, folks, and thanks for watching today. Thanks for all of the wonderful comments, Olivia and Melanie and Virginia. Thank you very much for all the comments today. If you want more of this, there's more at 1 o'clock today. You can join us for tea. It doesn't have to be tea. It could be anything you like, really. Bromide and chat at 1 o'clock. If you look around LinkedIn, we'll put the link on this one as it goes out on LinkedIn. If you're listening back to this on the Spotify or on YouTube or whatever, tea in the chat is every Friday, as much as we can make it, at 1 o'clock. And we'll start putting the links on that as well, I think, so that you could come and join us. So I started putting it out on the Facebook yesterday. So it'd be interesting to see if we start to get a slightly different demographic as well. That'd be marvelous. That's just a little way of you coming in and meeting us and asking us the sort of questions that you like, and going away with a little weekly challenge as well. Which we always love to see.
Yes, so we have to look out for those.
Have to look out for those. We will be back same time, same place next week. But until then, have a lovely weekend, and thanks for watching. Bye for now.